Let's continue on with the spells from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So we looked at the cantrips and the level 1 spells in the previous video. In this one, we'll look at the 2 and the 3. So starting right here, we have a level 2 spell called Summon Beast. Casting time of 1 action, got some components. Notice it's going to cost 200 gold for this one. But look at that, last up to an hour. You call forth a bestial spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the bestial spirit stat block, which we have below. When you cast the spell, choose an environment, air, land, or water. The creature resembles an animal. Look at that, just resembles an animal of your choice that is native to the chosen environment, which determines certain traits. So it's going to change the stat block down below. The creature disappears when it drops to 0 hit points when the spell ends, and of course it acts as an ally. So notice this is just going to be a small beast. I believe they get a little bit bigger if the summon spells go up. And notice, depending on the level of the spell, you get a different armor class, and also it's generally different, for the hit points too. But notice 20 for air only, 30 for land or water, and then you get to add another 5 for each spell level above second. Speed 30 feet, climb of 30 for the land, fly of 60 for the air, and a swim of 30 for the water. So there's a stat, strength and con of 18 and 16, not bad right there. 60-foot dark vision and flyby for the air only. The beast doesn't provoke opportunity attacks when it flies out of an enemy's reach. Pack tactics for land and water. The beast has advantage on an attack roll against a creature if at least one of the beast's allies is within 5 feet of the creature and the ally isn't incapacitated. Water breathing, for the water only, obviously, the beast can breathe only underwater. And then multi-attack. The beast makes a number of attacks equal to half the spell's levels. You get up to, 4 attacks with this right here, if cast at high levels. And maul, a melee weapon attack. Your spell attack modifier to hit, reach of 5 foot, and it's going to do 1d8 plus 4, plus the spell's level in piercing damage. So again, depending on which one of these you choose, air, land, or water, and you sort of pick the beast you want, it'll look similar to it. It's going to act a little bit different with each. Next right here, we have another second level spell called Tasha's Mind Whip. So casting time of 1 action, duration just 1 round. You psychically lash out at the creature you can see within range. The target must make an intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the target takes 3d6 psychic damage, and it can't take a reaction until the end of its next turn. Moreover, on its next turn, it must choose whether it gets a move, an action, or a bonus action. So it's got to choose what it wants. It gets only one of those 3. On a successful save, it'll take half damage, and none of the other effects will happen. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 3rd level or higher, you can target 1 additional creature for each slot above 2nd. So end up targeting, about 7 or 8 different creatures right there, about 7. So gives you some other advantages to it when you can reach out and hit a whole lot of things at once. So let's see right here where we're at. Here we are. So looking right here, we move up to our 3rd level spells. Intellect Fortress. Casting time of 1 action, range of 30 feet. Concentration up to 1 hour. For the duration, you or one willing creature you can see within range has resistance to psychic damage as well as advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, you can target 1 additional creature for each slot above the 3rd. The creatures must be within 30 feet of each other when you target them. So if you want to resist some psychic damage and have resistance on several of your saving throws, probably a good time to do it right there. You see something like Mr. Mind Flayer coming. So pretty good picture that goes with this one. So continuing on with our 3rd level spells, we have Spirit Shroud. Casting time on a bonus action. That's nice for a 3rd level spell. Concentration up to 1 minute. You call forth spirits of the dead, which flit around you for the spell's duration. The spirits are intangible and invulnerable. Until the spell ends, any attack you make will deal 1d8 extra damage when you hit a creature within 10 feet of you. This damage is radiant, necrotic, or cold, your choice when you cast the spell. Any creature that takes this damage can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. In addition, any creature of your choice that you can see that starts its turn within 10 feet of you has its speed reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. At higher levels, when you cast this spell using a spell slot of 4th level or higher, the damage increases by d8 for every 2 slot levels above 3rd, so not quite as generous with extra damage as what we see with many of the others. So next right here, going on with our 3rd level spells, Summon Faye, one of many summon spells they added in this book. Casting time of 1 action will last up to an hour. You call forth the Faye spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the Faye spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, choose a mood: fuming, mirthful, or tricksy. The creature resembles a Faye creature of your choice, marked by the chosen mood, which determines one of the traits in its stat block. The creature disappears if it drops to 0 or when the spell ends. So know this is going to be a small Faye right here, armor class of 12 plus the level of the spell, so at high levels could end up with a good armor class. Hit points of 30 plus 10 for every spell level above 3rd, movement of 40, that's good. Can't be charmed, has dark vision 60 feet. Actions, has a multi-attack, makes a number of attacks equal to half the spell's level like we saw with others, and has a good short sword attack here, right? Melee weapon, your spell attack modifier to hit, reach of 5 foot, and it's going to do 1d6 plus 3 plus the spell's level piercing damage plus another 1d6. So that's a lot of little extras added in. So looking at bonus actions, Faye Step. The Faye magically teleports up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space it can see. Then one of the following effects occurs based on the Faye you chose above. So for Fuming, the Faye has advantage on the next attack roll it makes before the end of this turn. Mirthful, the Faye can force one creature it can see within 10 feet of it to make a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC. Unless the save succeeds, the target is charmed by you and the Faye for 1 minute or until the target takes damage. And then with Tricksy, the Faye can fill a 5-foot cube within 5 feet of it with magical darkness, which lasts until the end of its next turn. So that's kind of interesting with the summon spells in this book right here, how on quite a few of them you actually have several different options as to which one you want to summon. Continue with 3rd level, we got Summon Shadowspawn. So this may be a new one right here. You call forth a shadowy spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the shadow spirit stat block. When you cast the spell, choose an emotion: fury, despair, or fear. The creature resembles a misshapen biped. In other words, something I guess really bizarre, like this thing you see right here. When you cast the spell, there it is in a misshapen biped marked by the chosen emotion, which determines certain traits. And again, if it's dropped to 0 or the spell ends, it's going to die. So of course the creature is an ally to you, just exactly as you would expect. And looking at the stat block right here. Now notice now we moved up to medium size, and this one's a monstrosity. So as before, armor class goes up with the spell level. But notice you get an extra 15 hit points for each level above 3rd. It was 10 for most of the others there. So damage resistant to necrotic, can't be frightened, got 120-foot dark vision. So if you chose Fury, you get this terror frenzy. The spirit has advantage on attack rolls against frightened creatures. If you chose the Despair, you get Weight of Sorrow. Any creature other than you that starts its turn within 5 feet of the spirit has its speed reduced by 20 feet until the start of the creature's next turn. So probably not going to be moving much. And as before, you got multi-attack that depends on the level of the spell as to how many they get. Then you can see Chilling Rend. Your spell attack modifier to hit, reach of 5 feet, going to do a d12 plus 3 plus the spell's level and cold damage. So the spell level will up the damage. And then once a day they'll get Dreadful Scream. The spirit screams. Each creature within 30 feet must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or be frightened of the spirit for 1 whole minute. The frightened creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of its turn, ending the effect on a success. So that could affect how some of this other stuff works. And then down at the bottom, for fear only, they get Shadow Stealth. While in dim light or darkness, the spirit takes the hide action. And as you see down here, when you cast the spell at slot 4th or higher, it adds to the stat block right there. So of course that's always going to add a few more things to it. So going on down here is another third level summon spell, Summon Undead. So this is going to be necromancy here, concentration up to 1 hour. You call forth an undead spirit. It manifests in an unoccupied space that you can see within range. This corporeal form uses the undead spirit stat block, and when you cast the spell, again you get to choose. And it has the information down here: ghostly, putrid, or skeletal. The spirit resembles an undead creature with the chosen form, which determines certain traits in its stat block. Creature disappears when it drops to 0, just as before, and again when you cast at higher levels it's going to be stronger. So going back up here, there's the same with the armor class, and then notice hit points 30 with ghostly and putrid, or 20 with the skeletal, and you're going to add 10 for each spell level above 3rd. Looks like you get a flying speed of 40 or hover for the ghostly. And of course it's immune to necrotic and poison. A lot of condition immunities listed there. Dark vision is 60. For the putrid, you get the festering aura. Any creature other than you that starts its turn within 5 feet of the spirit must succeed on a con saving throw against your spell DC or be poisoned until the start of its next turn. With ghostly, you get Incorporeal Passage. The spirit can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. If it ends its turn inside an object, it'll be shunted to the nearest unoccupied space and take a D10 of force damage for every 5 feet traveled. Gets the multi-attack just as the others, so the spell level will determine how many attacks it gets. And for ghostly, they'll get something called Deathly Touch. They'll get a melee weapon attack, your spell attack modifier to hit, reach of 5. Going to do a D8 plus 3 plus the spell's level in necrotic damage, and the creature must succeed on a wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC or be frightened of the undead until the end of the target's next turn. That's a lot of stuff going on with the ghostly. With the skeletal, they get something called Grave Bolt, range spell attack. So same as the others with a range of 150 feet. Going to do 2d4 plus 3 plus the spell's level in necrotic damage. And then with putrid, they get the Rotting Claw. Here a hit does a d6 plus 3 plus the spell level slashing damage. If the target is poisoned, it must succeed on a con saving throw against your spell save DC or be paralyzed until the end of its next turn. So man, that's a lot of reading. When you look at all those options right there, again, that's really like 3 different spells being cast right there. So there are 2nd and 3rd level. That Summon Undead's got a lot in it. So they've really beefed up the summon spells big time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.